Jesus' answer to John's question is not a theological treatise. It's not a moral compendium. It's a very practical answer. Are you the one who is to come? Well, tell him what you see and hear. Tell him what you yourself experienced. And what is that? What did you see and hear? Well, you saw the blind made to see, and you saw the lame start to walk. You saw the deaf start to hear again. Part of this, of course, part of this answer is because Jesus, always wanting to engage us by our faith and wanting us always to come to God through our faith, recalls those things that were prophesied, were promised in what we call the Old Testament, in their scriptures. And we heard just a slight bit of it in the Psalm, but it is throughout the scriptures in different places. We see things that will happen when the Lord comes. Even the steppe in the desert will bloom. You'll even be able there's a practical thing you'll be able to see, and touch, and hear. So, as I say, the first reason I think is pretty obvious. Jesus is saying, well, God promised you this through the prophets, and you're seeing this, and so, a little syllogism. But I think there's another reason. And I've mentioned this little phrase to you before, but one of my instructors in the seminary used to always say to us, love looks like something. And if you recall James's letter, he says, what if you come upon someone who is hungry and naked, and you say, oh, well, have a good day, You be careful now, you take care, keep warm, and you walk away. James says, obviously, there's not love there, there's not faith there. Because you've done nothing, you've shown no fruits. And so, when God comes, something happens. Right? God doesn't come, whether it's the natural world, and that's all over the Psalms. And sometimes we modern Americans have a little trouble. We think that's a little bit fanciful or something, or, maybe it's poetic. We get a little closer to it. We think like that. Maybe it's a symbol, But all over the Psalms and a lot of the canticles is the idea that when God comes, even the earth will be changed. That flowers will blossom, that the hills will exult, will leap for joy. I'm not sure what it's going to look like for hills to leap with joy, but the idea is that something, even just the natural world, things will change when God comes. And one of the things I like about the Jesse tree is as we look back there and we see that back area fill up with gifts. Whenever I look at that, I always see, yes, love does look like something. In this case, it looks like that. And whoever receives these will, hopefully, they'll know from where they come, or I don't know on the other end what happens with these, But in a way, we can say, Jesus is coming to you, and you know that because of this thing that you need or want or whatever it works out to be. And so the same thing is for us. We don't see Jesus walking around anymore, but we see the effects of his presence in the world, and sometimes we bring the effects of Jesus' presence in the world. So it happens in both ways. But it also is a reminder to us that when the Lord comes again, our lives will be changed. That something practical and tangible will happen. When the Lord comes to us now, we may or may not be healed of some physical illness. We may or may not have some family problem taken care of. When the Lord comes to us now, sometimes he comes to us and we find that we have a peace amidst our troubles, or we find we have the strength to bear certain things. But even in our own lives, if you look at your life and you say, well, I believe Jesus is with me, but I can't really see any practical effects of that at all, I would wonder about that. Even those who struggle under great suffering, those who truly know Jesus, have something in the midst of all that. I see it over and over again. I know you guys have experienced that, and I have as well. And so the other part we look at, if we say, Jesus has come to me, I know Jesus, but nothing in my life changes as far as my actions, then again, I would wonder at that answer. I just finished a little novel, not a novel, I'm sorry, a little book by a woman named Sally Reed. It's just come out. It's about her conversion story. And at one point she says, I notice now, not that I was working on any of these things, but she said, I realized about this time that I was more patient than I was before. I realized that I didn't lose my temper as much as I used to, that I was more willing to give of my time or be generous with my money or something more than I was before. And she was surprised by that. But we shouldn't be those who look on the outside in. No, there's no surprise about that. That's Jesus coming to you and changing you. And so, not only in this time here where we're celebrating that Jesus has come, and we're also reminding ourselves in anticipation of Jesus coming again, we can look at our lives and say, okay, what are the practical things? How can I see that Jesus has come? And what are the things that beset me now? I can hope for those things to be changed. So whatever it is, but there will come a time when Jesus comes to us, when he comes back again, and we open our lives and we are able to be with him, there will come a time when we won't suffer with whatever illness we're suffering, whether it's physical or mental or emotional. where we will have peace in our families, where we will be able to forgive those who have hurt us, where we'll have the humility to go ask for forgiveness, where they will be able to forgive us for what we've done. And whatever is wrong in our lives will be made right. And that's not just a pie in the sky, I hope one day this happens. No, we see how God answers his promises. And so, again, the hope we have is not some kind of theological hope only. It's not some kind of vague hope. I think we really can hope practically as well. We can hope that the things in our lives that are wrong will be made right. That the evil in our lives, either whether it comes from without or it's still evil that we're struggling with coming from within, that will be conquered. That the things that are wrong in the world, among people, you might say, will be made right. So as you think about your hope for the coming of our Lord, think of it in practical terms. Don't just think of it as some kind of poetic expression of something. Jesus really is coming again, and he really will heal us.